So let's talk about being a highly sensitive person. You mentioned earlier that you are in a process of discovering
Yes, that's right.
yourself as a highly sensitive person.
Yes.
Yeah. So what have you discovered?
Yeah, I think fundamentally what I've discovered is that all the things that I put down to trauma are actually just part of how I'm built, or a lot of the things I've put down to past trauma has to do with how I'm built. So intense emotions, tendency to get overwhelmed and overstimulated, and stressed also. All sorts of things that I thought, compared myself, why can't I do as much as other people? Why do I have to take so many breaks? I'm now kind of coming to understand, and as high sensitivity, and it removes a whole layer of self-judgment about some of the things that I experience. Yeah.
It definitely does, yeah, because what I hear a lot of the highly sensitive people that I help and guide in my practice is that they, have a strong lack of energy and they need a lot of time to recharge, but also time to unwind.
Yeah.
And it's so important to know yourself in that way.
That's right.
Yeah, so how was it for you to discover that, or maybe I should ask it differently, how was it for you to accept that you could be highly sensitive?
It's still in process. It's really so recent, Chung Mei, literally it's been less than a week.
It's been less than a week.
So where I'm going, hang on, that really fits. And there's still a part of me going, no, it's not that. No, really? So I'm still very much in process. And one of my tools actually that I was using anyway is journaling. And I'm journaling a lot about it. And I'm realizing that there's a lot of grief around it having taken so long to come to this conclusion. I mean, I'm 60 now. I've spent a long, long time thinking, oh, this isn't okay. And it's because of old trauma. When actually it's just part of who I am. And trying to fix it when it's not fixable. But there's still a part of me it's getting smaller with the days, that's doubting it. And that's also resisting it. I don't want this. I don't want this. Why is this me? But then actually I'd much rather have this than go, it's all trauma that, Yeah, so...
And you can also look at it in a different way because for example, when someone knows in an earlier stage of life that they are a highly sensitive person, it's still very complex and difficult because, we all deal with trauma.
Yeah.
So if you find out that in your 20s that you are HSP, but still at the same time you go through a severe breakup with your boyfriend or girlfriend of, I don't know, maybe 10 years, then oh no, that's not possible, right? When you're in your 20s. Or maybe.
You might have been with someone since school.
Since school, yes, for example. And then they also noticed, for example, that they can't sleep or they are easily bothered, frustrated. And the combination of that is that it's way more intense for a highly sensitive person to go through a breakup because they can sense so much more, in their bodies, but also through their senses, that how awful it is to lose someone or to go through, this breakthrough.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think in every stage of life,
it's never easy. It's never easy.
Yeah.
And I suppose on the plus side, at my age, and because I'm a therapist, because I just really like to be busy with tools and my own inner work, and a lot of that involves how do I calm my nervous system. I've done a lot of the work already for HSP, and what this is doing is just putting it in context.
That's right. It has a name.
It has a new context. The context before was, this is something I have to fix. Now it's simply something I need to manage.
Yes.
And I already do quite a lot. and I need to accept it 100% rather than still fight it.
That's
a
right.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm in process. That's my process right now, and it's very new. So,
Yes, but going back to what you previously said, it's also a plus that you have gained so much experience in self-care, right?
Yes, it really is.
Yeah.
And it's just underlined it for me that actually I really have to do this. I mean, I knew anyway, and I'm quite good generally at going, okay, now I need a break and I need to go away or whatever. But it's almost like it's made it even more important, and to not really go beyond my boundaries. I try not to anyway, but this has made it even more important.
Yes, that's interesting. And let's dive a bit deeper in being a highly sensitive person. There are people who see themselves as introverts and extroverts, but there's also a new category, and that's the ambiverts.
Okay.
And that's a combination between being an introvert and an extrovert. And then you also have high sensation seekers. So how do you see yourself in terms of personality?
Well, I'm an introvert in the sense that I really need my alone time very much, and that I find it tiring eventually being around people. But I do have visibly, a lot of people would call me an extrovert because I'm quite sociable and I'm not shy, and I'm quite happy doing this and just ad-libbing and whatever. I've been pondering about the high sensation seeker. So maybe that's an ambivert, I don't know, but
yes.
I've been pondering a bit about the high sensation seeking. I think I like intense experience to a certain extent, but I don't like to live my life intensely. So I guess I like discrete sensations. It needs to have a beginning and an end. I don't want, but my life needs to be slow. And I'm still, I think, trying to find a way to make it slower than it already is. And I think this realization of being HSP is probably part of what's going to be the kick up the bum.
I know, and it also makes it easier to choose for the activities, but also for the environment in which you flourish as a person.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. It just really, it's given me more context and fundamentally a big relief to realise, okay, this is what's going on. And better late than never, I guess.
That's right. And what I found interesting is that you also mentioned that you get bored easily with people who don't process stimulation in a very in-depth way, or could you elaborate on this?
Well, I don't know about the processing stimulation. It's more about reflective. I like people who I'm people I can connect with, and those people, I'm noticing a lot of my friends are also therapists. And there's something that I need the depth of connection and the depth of conversation in a very real way. And I get really bored with the mundane. I can do it for a little while. How are you and how's your job and blah, blah, blah. And after a while, I really want to talk about how people feel and what's going on really.
Yes.
Really going on. And of course, I'm now realising that's very much an HSP trait.
So HSPs make for good therapists, right?
I think probably are attracted to that work, because of the depth that we go to.
Yes.
And of course not everybody can go there, but I'm noticing now that I've kind of got this new pair of glasses on, the HSP glasses, I'm realising probably most of my clients probably are somewhere in the HSP area also. And it's interesting, I was listening to Elaine Aron, who identified this, say that 20 to 30% of people are HSP overall, but actually probably most of our clients in psychotherapy are HSP, and that's why they've come also. They don't know it. I mean, crikey, I've had therapy for 35 years. Nobody at any point has said, maybe you're HSP, so until my current sort of therapists that I'm working with, and even then it's been more subtle than that.
That's interesting, right? Because it should be more known.
I know, absolutely. I'm part of all these email networks for therapists. They're all talking about neurodivergence all over the place. Not one mention of HSP. I'm like, what the hell? This is such an if 20 to 30% of human beings are HSP, and it's a common character trait, surely this is something that therapists need to be aware of.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, let's move to like the main topic of our podcast, because while I was reading through your website, you shared your personal story about overcoming insomnia, and with help of cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia.
That's right.
But before you recovered from that, you went through a lot regarding to insomnia. So I was wondering, could you tell us more about how your sleep was before menopause compared to after?
Oh my
God.
God.
It was related to menopause.
Yeah, it's absolutely since menopause that my sleep changed. So before menopause and perimenopause, I slept between 8 and 10 hours a night, and I loved it. I'm an absolute sleep monster. I love my bed. I love my sleep. And it kind of happened gradually through perimenopause and the beginnings of menopause. Yeah, it was a gradual thing that I found it harder and harder to sleep. And
you mean to fall asleep?
To fall asleep and to stay asleep.
And to stay asleep.
Yeah, but falling asleep, and it was an issue. It could take me a really long time, but also staying asleep. Yeah.
And what was it like emotionally to suddenly lose your ability to sleep?
Oh my God, it was awful, because all my friends laughed at it. It's like it was a feature of who I was. All my friends would laugh at me because I spent so long in bed, and I loved my bed. And all of a sudden, bed became this place that, didn't have the same meaning anymore. So it wasn't just that I'm not sleeping, it's that I am losing something I love.
Ooh, that's
and even a part of my identity. So, because it was just always people, I even have one friend who called me half woman, half mattress.
No.
So that's how identified I was with bed and sleep. So it felt like it was a massive loss. It made me feel, I was very anxious.
But also very sad.
And very sad. And it felt, it felt like a loss of part of my identity that I didn't want to lose. So I found it very hard to accept. And of course, on top of all the kind of anxiety that starts to happen around bed and going to sleep and that kind of thing. Yeah, it was really hard.
And did it make your sleep problems worse?
Yes.
To be struggling with that type of anxiety.
Of course, yes. And that generally is part of what perpetuates insomnia. It's the anxiety around not sleeping.
So what were you thinking?
Oh, I'd get anxious before going to bed, and be scared of going to bed, basically. And be anxious about lying, the possibility of lying there awake again and not being able to sleep. So I had a lot of anxiety, and I thought my sleep was broken and I'll never be able to sleep again, and what am I going to do? And it's a very lonely feeling, and yet it's incredibly common.
Yes, and you mentioned what I'm going to do, and I think you must have also tried certain remedies or techniques to help you fall asleep.
All sorts. So one of the things that I did, and is actually not right, was spend longer in bed. This is something that people with insomnia do. If I stay in bed longer, I'll have more opportunity to sleep. But actually the reality is opposite, but we'll go into that in a moment. So what did I do? I went to bed for longer, didn't work. I listened to hypnotic bedtime stories for grown-ups on YouTube, and that actually could help me to fall asleep, but I didn't stay asleep. I took CBD oil. That helped calm the anxiety.
What is that?
CBD is one of the cannabinoids, so it's non-psychoactive, but it can be helpful with anxiety. I also took THC oil, which is the psychoactive cannabinoid. That kind of helped, but you get habituation, so you have to keep taking more and more and more of it. Ooh. And of course, in the morning you also wake up, with a bit of a hangover from being stoned, basically.
Oh no!
Yeah. So I tried melatonin. I was even given melatonin slow release by the doctor. It didn't work. What else was there? Valerian tea. That seemed to help me relax, but it didn't really help me sleep.
Meditate? Did you try?
I meditated. I tried hypnotherapy. I listened to podcasts.
Did you do acupuncture?
Did I do acupuncture? I did acupuncture. It didn't work.
Oh. I think we already reached like 10 methods.
Yeah. Was there anything else? There's some yoga poses that can be quite good as well. Forward bends. Didn't work. Helped calm me to a certain extent, but didn't help me sleep. So yeah, and I even at that point, that's right, I was already post-menopausal actually. I'd been resisting any kind of hormone replacement therapy. I wanted to manage it all naturally. So I went on to HRT. So it didn't work. It works for many women, but it didn't work for me. And there was something else, wasn't there? Yeah, I even had the occasional sleeping tablet, actually. I went to the doctor, but they won't give you many, and with just cause, because they're not a long-term solution to sleep, not really, because, again, you become dependent on them, and there's also the habituation process where you need more and more for it to have the same effect. But I like to travel a lot by car, and if I'm not sleeping, it's kind of dangerous, so one of those periods where I wasn't sleeping, I did use a sleeping tablet to make sure I got some rest before driving long distances, and that helped. But it really has to be a temporary thing. Yeah.
Oh,
so yeah, I did a lot.
It sounds awful.
It was horrible.
And I can imagine that every time you try something new, you hope that it will work. And then it fails, or it doesn't give the results that you aimed for.
That's right.
And then you have to go through these stages of disappointment, and also to get your strength again to start trying something else, right?
Yeah. And it also shows and is part of a complete preoccupation with sleep, even when you're awake, which is what insomnia is. It's not just not sleeping, it's a 24-hour issue. It's the preoccupation with sleep when you're awake, preoccupation with being tired, preoccupation with everything to do with the lack of sleep is part of a proper insomnia diagnosis.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I have like the complete image of insomnia.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, I really thought it was, not being able to fall asleep and not being able to stay asleep. And then of course you have to deal with the tiredness during the day.
And all the rumination and thinking about it and preoccupation about it.
Yes. Okay, so how long did this take, like trying out all of these remedies? Like how many months passed before?
Well, I can't remember exactly, to tell you the truth. A few months. Maybe 3 or 4 months, 5 months. No longer, actually, because it was a gradual slide into this kind of insomnia. With initially CBD oil, and that helped because it dealt with the anxiety, but it gradually got worse. But the really intense part of it, where I just was getting like 2 hours sleep a night or something.
No.
Probably, and me trying to kind of do something about it, lasted 4 or 5 months. 6 months, something like that, before
Yes.
I came across cognitive behavioral
Yes,
therapy.
I was
Insomnia.
getting to that
Yeah.
point. Like, how did it cross your path?
I research, you know, and I'm not one to sit still, and I'm a strong believer in educating myself about my health issues. I don't believe doctors have all the answers. They have some, but they tend to be pharmaceutical on the whole, or surgical. And I think we can manage our health in much broader ways. So I'm a really strong believer in taking charge of my own health. And
what happens when you first tried cognitive behavioral
well,
therapy?
it's quite hard. So I found an online program to follow.
Yes.
And a lot of it is education about sleep. So learning all the stuff that we do that's counterproductive. And of course, one of those things is lying in bed too long. So one of the things you learn in cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, or CBT-I I'm going to call it,
yes.
Is education around sleep, psychoeducation. And there are several factors that are important in order to get sleep. The body knows how to sleep, but in insomnia, people often think it's like I've forgotten how to sleep, right? And we end up doing a load of stuff. It's our behaviours that then perpetuate the insomnia. And one of the things we do, of course, is lie in bed too long. In CBT-I, the first thing you do is keep a sleep diary, where you just keep doing what you're doing, and you write down, you register what time you went to bed, how long it took, what time you turned the light out, how long it took you to fall asleep, how many times you woke up during the night, how long you woke up for each time, did you get back to sleep or not, what time did you wake up in the morning, and what time did you get out of bed. Right, so you do this for a week or two so that the therapist gets an idea, but in this particular program I was doing it myself, of how much time. It's basically to calculate sleep efficiency. And what that means is your how much time you're actually asleep compared to how much time you're in bed. Right?
Yes.
And if you're sleeping like 2-3 hours, but you're in bed for 10 hours, and you're lying there frustrated because you're not sleeping and tossing and turning, you're creating an association between your bed and frustration and being awake. Yes. Right? So 2 things you do. You're restricting your time in bed. You've worked out how many hours of sleep you're getting. I was getting like 2 or 3. But the minimum you work with, and you set a sleep window. The minimum sleep window you set is 5 to 5.5 hours. So I was basically allowed to stay in bed for 5 to 5.5 hours. And you carry on with the sleep diary, but anytime you wake up, if you're awake for more than 15 minutes, you get up and you go to another room and you do something quiet, you soothe your anxiety. So I would just get up and read.
And is that one of the rules?
It's one of the rules.
Yes.
You do not stay in bed when you can't sleep. You go to a different environment, and it might even be just a chair in the corner of your room, but it's better that it's not your bed. You have no TV in your bedroom either, and you have to keep the environment quite calm.
And when did it start changing for you? When did you...
Quite quickly.
Yes.
So it was basically restricting the time in bed and getting up when I can't sleep for more than 15 minutes. Within a couple of weeks, I was sleeping through my 5.5 hours. Because what you're doing is you're building your what they call a sleep drive or sleep appetite. If you're lying in bed for 10 hours, but only sleeping for 3, 4, 5, you're fragmenting your sleep. You're using up your sleep drive. And what we're doing by shortening the time in bed and getting out of bed when you can't sleep is concentrating your sleep drive. So you're getting more sleep in one go, and it's deeper and better quality sleep. So that works pretty quickly. It's really hard, because you're not, it doesn't matter what time you go to bed, how much sleep you get, you are sticking to your sleep window.
Yes, and I'm trying to imagine it, like what is like the meaning of the sleep drive, just stay in bed And the drive refers to
the drive refers to
motivation?
it refers to the physiological need for sleep.
Oh,
So if you're sitting in front of the TV and you can't keep your eyes open, that's your sleep drive at work. So it's that your body just knows how to sleep. You just have to give it the opportunity to build the sleep drive. That comes through adapting the time you're actually asleep to the amount of time you spend in bed. And you must be asleep for at least 85% of that time.
For it to work.
For it to work.
Yes.
Right? And that's considered a reasonable night's sleep. 85% sleep efficiency. It should be more. It should be over 90%, right? But if you're getting up to 85% is okay.
All right.
And so, but it's partly also then exposure to light, being active during the day, being busy with stuff.
All right. So during those first weeks that you kept your sleep diary, you also did physical activity and.
But yes, but that's also what creates sleep drive in itself, even in people who don't have insomnia. Just being busy, being active, moving, having daylight.
Yes.
And people missed it. It's not melatonin that's formed. That's not what causes the sleep drive. It's something called, of course, it's gone completely out of my head right now.
But that doesn't matter.
It's another hormone, and that causes the body to want to sleep, and it's connected with the release of energy, ATP. So adenosine. There you go. It's adenosine. So our mitochondria uses adenosine triphosphate as energy. That's what. And a byproduct of that is adenosine. So when we're active and using our energy, the byproduct is adenosine, which is what creates the sleep drive in the body. Oh. We build that up during the day. Melatonin is to do with the circadian rhythm, which is the drive to wake up and to go to sleep. It's to do with the timing.
That's amazing. You should know that.
But it's through the CBT-I that you learn that.
That's right. That's like basic knowledge.
Yes.
To be able to get back to your normal sleep routine.
Exactly. Again. Yes. It's basically giving the body what it needs to produce sleep, because the body knows how to do it. It's just that we lose touch with that with insomnia because of all the anxiety, the preoccupation with sleep. And we think we're going to die because we're not sleeping, because everywhere tells us we need 8 hours sleep, otherwise we're going to get this, that, or the other disease.
So, that's right. So when you're focusing on only these two changes in your life, or actually more changes, but the main changes were starting the sleep diary, right? And restricting
your time in bed and getting out of bed when you can't sleep.
Yes, yeah. Like, okay, so 3 elements. You're starting with those, and then what I noticed is that then you're focusing on those 3
their behaviors
elements.
And then you have to deal with the anxiety if you have it. Not everybody who can't sleep has anxiety about it, and I'm predisposed to anxiety. It's just because of also the HSP, apart from anything else. So I had to deal with the anxiety a lot as well. So that's the cognitive component. The rest is behavioral. Right. The other cognitive component, of course, is the education around sleep. But a lot of it is behavioural, and some of it, just the sleep restriction can be enough.
And how did you deal with the anxiety?
Through using a worry diary. So a very structured way to take me through my worries.
Oh, right.
So that you take them out of your head onto a bit of paper.
Yes.
And you work through them. And by the time you've worked through it, it's already less worry.
That's right. Yes.
That's part of it. And part of it is also education. You're not going to die if you don't get 8 hours sleep. You're not even going to die if you on 6 hours sleep. You're not going to die if you've got insomnia, basically. And you don't want to have it. It's not ideal to have it for your whole life, but many people do, and they're still productive and can get through their lives. So it's about the not worrying about anxiety.
But do you mean
about insomnia?
Yeah, because there's a part that worries about being able to fall asleep, all the sleep concerns, but you mentioned another part of it is to die.
Well, yeah, that's a slight exaggeration, but there's a lot of information, and there seems to be a fashion at the moment for lots of information online about sleep, right. And there's a lot of influences around about sleep at the moment, but they are quoting from single studies with few people. There's associations between lack of sleep and some health conditions. But they are quoted as causes, and they are not. The research cannot find correlation between particular illnesses, I don't know, diabetes, heart conditions, etc., and poor sleep. But correlation is not causation. And many people online who talk about sleep run away with, if there's an association, that must be causation, and it's not the case. It really isn't. That lack of sleep causes Alzheimer's, heart disease, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
Could it be that Alzheimer's causes poor sleep? The relationship is not as clear as one of causation.
Yes, I understand. Yeah. But like moving back to the fear of death, because you mentioned, okay, it's an exaggeration, but I don't really think it is exaggeration, because underneath many anxieties is the fear of death.
Yes, exactly. But the fear is more about poor health. And if I have poor health, I might die.
That's another stage. Yeah, right.
So, but it's fundamentally about, I won't, it's going to be, there's many fears. I won't be able to do my job.
Yes.
Which is a big one. How am I going to take care of the children? I'm exhausted. I'm going to be tired all the time. So there's the catastrophizing of what it means to not sleep. And okay, it's not great, and you don't feel wonderful, but actually you can get through the day. And to take the catastrophizing out of it, and in other words, you have the not sleeping, and that doesn't feel great. And then you have all the beliefs and the thoughts and the catastrophizing about it. That adds the extra layer. So you can take away that extra layer with the cognitive work.
Yes.
And also the educational work of actually, you don't feel great. But hey, you've got through the day for the last 6 months, 4 years, 25 years. Some people live with insomnia for 20 years and years and years.
Yes.
They have got through the day. And the night.
That's right, and it's good to know that, because then that helps you to take away the anxiety.
Yes. It's about saying, okay, I don't like this, but this is how it is right now, and I can accept it. It doesn't feel good, but it's also not the end of the world. It's not a catastrophe. And this is how it is today, right now.
Yes.
And I'm okay. I'm not at my best, but I'm okay.
Yes, and what I hear a lot is the acceptance of where you are now, or where the person is at that stage when he or she starts implementing all of these new techniques. Exactly. Right? It's about accepting where you are.
It's a really crucial part of overcoming insomnia.
But overcoming many things.
Anything.
But now we're focusing on insomnia. So we've talked about that in a few weeks it changed for you.
Very quickly.
You slept through the 5.5 hours.
And then gradually increasing the sleep window by 15 minutes per week. You do it very slowly, otherwise you confuse the circadian rhythm, which is the rhythm of wake, when you wake up. And it's important. The body likes rhythm and patterns and regularity. So you do it really slow so that you're not disrupting that regularity.
Yeah, so the body also likes to have it integrated in a system, so it's more, again, a natural part of your life. Right? Yes. And now we're coming back to, the body knows how to sleep.
The body knows how to sleep. It really does. The other thing to pay attention to is whether you're, what do they call it again? It's basically about whether you're a night owl or a morning lark. Are you somebody who needs to go to bed early and get up early, or are you somebody who goes to bed late and gets up later? And I'm a night owl. Always have been. Go to bed late, get up late.
I'm the other one. What's it called when you get up early?
Early, you're a lark, a morning lark.
Lark.
A lark. Yeah, I mean, these are just the English words, but
yes.
there's a correct word for it, which escapes me right now because of my post-menopausal brain.
That's also why I have this notebook here. I mentioned it to Carolyn earlier. Yeah. So normally I do the podcast by head, but
chronotype.
What's the chronotype?
That's the word. Chronotype. Chronos is time.
Yes.
Type is type.
Yes.
So the chronotype can be, are you an early chronotype or a late chronotype? So larks, night owls, or somewhere in the middle.
So I'm an early chronotype.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so how long did it take for you to sleep like you wanted to sleep?
I don't think I ever got back to sleeping how I want to sleep because I'm post-menopausal and naturally, I would like to sleep 10 hours a night still, and that just is not going to happen. I sleep roughly 6 hours. Some people will tell you that's not enough, and others will tell you if, it is. I've just decided to accept that this is what it is, and I'm okay. I'm awake, I don't fall asleep during the day. In fact, I don't even fall asleep, I don't get sleepy. So my sleep drive is satisfied.
Yes.
And that's the way I'm choosing to see it. But it took me a while to accept that it's never going to be 10 hours a night, or even 8 again. But I get rest instead, and that also helps. What I would say is that what happens is I have got to a place where I'm not preoccupied with sleep. I get on with and that's what you want. I'm just sleeping, I'm getting the amount of sleep that my body gives me. As a post-menopausal woman, it's completely normal to get less sleep than you did before. And whether or not I sleep is no longer part of how I spend my days. It doesn't.
And that's a huge relief.
It's
right?
that fundamentally that's what it is. So it's not a 24/7 thing anymore.
No.
It's simply, I get this amount of sleep, and that's that.
Wow, that's amazing. So actually, you've answered the next question. Like, how did CBT-I change your relationship with sleep?
It got me to a place where I felt I was getting enough sleep.
Yes.
Basically, to function well, do my work, see my friend, just to live.
To live again.
To live. The other thing that's a really important part of the whole process is not to stop doing things just because you're tired. Just to keep
that's a difficult one.
Yeah. So go out even though you're tired. Go to your exercise class even though you're tired. Go to your work even though you're tired. Just live your life normally even though you're tired.
Yes, it makes me think because I am now going through the perimenopause phase, and I've been through periods that I was really tired, and if I wanted just a tiny bit of entertainment in the evenings because I wasn't able to go out because of the tiredness, I thought, okay, the only thing that I'm able to do now is to just watch a tiny part of a series on Netflix, for example, right? But what I really love doing is reading. But I have thought for a long time that I can't read because I cannot even capture the information. Like when I pick up the book the next day, I don't remember what I've read yesterday, so I have to reread it again. So it's so weird to have all of these thoughts, new thoughts.
Yeah.
Right? But now I'm in the phase that I can read, that I want to read, that I'm curious to how the story ends. So it's different. and I feel more confident in choosing again to read, even though I'm tired. So there are also different stages of tiredness.
I'm speaking about insomnia specifically.
Yes, yeah, you're speaking about insomnia.
Not about the kind of fatigue, physical fatigue that you will get through perhaps perimenopause and changes.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Yeah,
of course.
But generally speaking, with something like insomnia or other conditions, if you're not doing something because of that condition, so in this case insomnia, you're basically letting your nervous system know that the insomnia is a big deal and that it's a danger. So in the continuing to do stuff, perimenopause is something different, because it's a natural process, it's not an illness.
No, yeah, let's dive into that further on.
But with something like insomnia, but many other conditions that are stress related, you're basically, if you avoid doing things, you're confirming to your nervous system that it's not safe to do that. And then perpetuating the problem.
And does it also have to do that insomnia, like the cause of insomnia could be in that people just overlook what they truly need in life? So they focus more on working, on all the obligations that they have. So they just do because they think they should do it like that. And then you miss out like the relaxing and fun stuff in life.
For sure.
And maybe to turn around insomnia or to recover from it is also to focus more on the fun things that you maybe skipped because you want
because you're tired and you just want to get the essential stuff done. Yeah.
Could it be?
It's an interesting question. I think under stress generally we tend to let go of the stuff that isn't work, of the stuff that isn't duty and demand, basically. When we need them most. And we all do that, it's very human. It's like, I'll just focus on the stuff that really has to get done. And we forget that the relaxing and the fun and the playfulness and the sport and music, creativity and all of that is part of what keeps us healthy.
Yes.
It's about having a balanced life.
That's right.
Having said that, by the time insomnia, they talk about the 3 Ps. Predisposition. So anxiety is a predisposing factor. Predisposition, precipitation. So that's going to be like an event quite often. But menopause, why not? It's also a precipitating factor because of the changes. And then there's the perpetuating factors. It's what we do with the fact that we've not slept. In our relationship to I haven't slept. Do we just accept that as, didn't sleep well last night, never mind, and then carry on? Or do we run away, if it's been 2 or 3 nights, and maybe something stressful has happened in life, and that always affects sleep. The perpetuation is that kind of loop and the preoccupation, the loop of anxiety, and the preoccupation with, oh my God, when am I ever going to sleep again? And my sleep's broken, and I'll never ever sleep again, and all this kind of stuff. The catastrophic thinking.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so now you're also helping clients to overcome insomnia.
Yes, indeed.
So at some point you decided to train yourself in CBT-I. Yeah, you've shared a whole lot about this. So what made you decide to also help others with it?
Well, it's fundamental to who I am as a therapist. I became a therapist because of my own psychological issues, and so whenever I find something that helps me to overcome one of my own issues, I then learn how to, I go deep into it as an HSP.
Yes.
And then help other people with it. So now that I'm discovering the whole HSP thing, I'm thinking, okay, how does this apply to therapy? And I'm listening to, Elaine Aron's book on, psychotherapy with the HSP.
Yes, I have that.
Yes. Oh, you have it. Okay.
Yes.
So I have it as an audiobook at the moment. And So it's just part of how I function as a therapist.
And it's also part of maybe just being a human being. Like
totally.
when you learn something and you've integrated it, you want to pass it on. Like, how can
I've learned how to fix that in myself. Here, I'm a psychotherapist anyway. It's part of my work.
Cars. Shall I fix your car?
Yeah, exactly. Let me do a course to make sure I'm really doing it properly.
Yes. Just a note, I don't fix cars.
Okay. I get it.
Yeah, you get it.
I get it. So, but it's fundamentally that. You know, let me make sure I've done a course that covers all bases now that I've done it, fixed it in myself. And then I'll start working with that as well.
Yes. And well, if you could capture it in a few sentences, what makes CBT-I different from other insomnia treatments?
Well, that's a tricky one because what makes it different from all the other stuff I tried, so things, supplements that I swallowed and hypnotherapy, there's the focus on what sleep is and how to create sleep. So it's coming back to a natural sleep rather than treating the symptom. And even with hypnotherapy, or certainly what I did anyway, there's no sleep education, there's no understanding of the sleep drive, there's no understanding of the association of bed with wakefulness and breaking that association. So the understanding of some of those basic factors about sleep and the misconceptions and the counterintuitive things you have to do to get your sleep back is what made it different. And the dropping all other crutches.
Yes. I love the last part, what you just said. Oh, not the last part. I love the thing you said about the counterintuitive things you have to do. Yeah, to break the cycle.
To break the cycle,
Yes. Interesting.
Yeah, i.e. most people who don't sleep well spend longer in bed. You actually have to make it shorter.
That's right.
Nothing is, nobody wants to hear that, but it's part of it. It's a reality, and it really helps.
So that's something you could tell someone who's lying awake night after night feeling hopeless.
Don't stay in bed long. Get out of bed when you're feeling hopeless. And work with the hopelessness. Do the anxiety stuff. Do the anxiety work. Listen to recovery stories.
That's a good one.
Listen to recovery stories. Don't join support groups where everybody's complaining about their insomnia. Listen to recovery stories. And that goes for any health issue. Listen to recovery stories.
Oh, that's a wonderful distinction you make. Yes. Well, let's move on to menopause. A few minutes more. Yes. What is the first thing that you would like to share about menopause? Because now you're post-menopausal, so I can learn from you.
Okay. I had really difficult periods. They were very painful. They wiped me out for days. And I couldn't wait to become menopausal. I couldn't wait for them to stop. But then you get a whole load of new stuff come up. And other issues, hot flushes, not sleeping, all of that. So it can be conceived that menopause is like the end of your life. And of course, society mirrors that back to us, the kind of lack of worth of older women and that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't believe in any of it, of course, but we get that kind of stuff mirrored back to us, and that we have to stay young and get rid of our wrinkles and all the rest of it. And it's nonsense. What really helps is understanding that this is a transition into really taking charge of who you are. For me, anyway, that's what it's been. Listening less and less to societal messages about what it is to be a woman, what it is to be an older woman, having to be beautiful and having to be thin and all of this kind of crap. The more you focus on the inside and feeling good and feeling healthy, the less important your wrinkles become. And they're simply a sign of a body that's been lived in for 60 years. And at the end of the day, I think preoccupation with looks or with the aging, and and in particular the appearance of aging, I think just makes people unhappy. And the big focus for me is, how do I make my life? How do I be happy?
It does.
How do I be happy?
Mm-hmm.
What makes me happy?
Yes. That's the...
Filling your own cup.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So that's the message that you have to give to all women who are hearing this.